The huge alien vessel loomed into view of the celestial diplomatic station's windows. Ambassador Ethan stared up at the immense black shape blocking out the stars, feeling an influx of mixed emotions. As Earth's chief ambassador, the responsibility for how this first contact went weighed heavily on him. He took a deep breath to compose himself as the airlock connected with an audible thunk. The massive frames of the arriving Zarnax nearly filled the chamber as the inner door slid open. Their dark brown exoskeletons glinted under the lights, and bulbous blue eyes regarded the humans with an unreadable expression. The lead alien ambassador, Thrax, extended a claw in greeting, which Ethan cautiously shook. Through translation algorithms, Thrax declared they came in peace and wished to forge a prosperous relationship. The ensuing talks did not go as Ethan had hoped. Thrax demanded access to the resource-rich asteroid belts along with tribute payments to the Zarnax Dominion, when Ethan protested that humanity could not simply cede sovereign territory. Thrax's tone turned condescending. Consider this a generous offer, given our technological superiority. Ethan bit back a retort, his mind racing to defuse the situation. That evening, the diplomats convened an emergency video call. With world leaders back on Earth, their demands are outrageous and set a terrible precedent, declared the Chinese premier. We must stand firm or risk becoming tributary vassals, agreed the Russian president. Arguments flew across cultural and ideological lines until Ethan called for calm. Antagonizing them could provoke conflict. I say we request further dialogue to find common ground. The next meeting with Thrax did not go smoothly. No matter how Ethan framed alternative proposals, the alien remained fixated on tribute and territory. When Ethan stood his ground, Thrax's eyes flashed red in a sign of anger unfamiliar to the humans. Do not test our patience, Ambassador. Your world depends on our good graces. Ethan ended the talks with a bitter taste in his mouth, dreading informing the others. That night, Ethan paced the station, wrestling with the disastrous options, take on the Zarnax fleet and demonstrate to the galaxy the true nature of humanity, or give in to their oppressive demands. He heard footsteps and turned to see his second-in-command, Captain Reyes, entering with a grim look. Thrax just issued an ultimatum: accept their terms within a solar day or face reprisals. Ethan's heart sank further at this escalation. In an emergency session, view screens filled with tense faces as Ethan briefed the situation. Shouts immediately erupted over what to do. None of the viable choices were appealing. Then the elderly Earth Council Chair Nia spoke slowly and calmly. My friends, while force will gain us nothing, weakness will see our sovereignty trampled. I suggest we issue one final simple message, that any harm to humanity will be met with a swift and overwhelming response. This buys time for diplomacy without losing face or firing a shot. All agreed. The room fell silent, and gradually nations signaled consensus on this last hope. Now it was in Thrax's claws. The news of the Zarnax demand spread like wildfire across the solar system. On Earth, massive crowds swarmed city centers chanting, "No tribute," and off our world, even hardened military analysts conceded humanity had no means to repel a full attack. Ethan watched the coverage, weary after hours of unproductive talks with Thrax. The ambassador remained resolute, insisting Earth's resources were required for the survival of the Zarnax Dominion. His mention of force cast a grim pall over the room. As Ethan returned to the station, Captain Reyes gave a grim update. Social media is swimming with calls to arms. Governments are debating reactive shows of military force. An emergency session convened via hologram, shouts echoing in the vast chamber as leaders demanded strategies. Further concessions will destroy our dignity, declared the Chinese premier. The Russian president warned a small deterrent strike could backfire catastrophically. Our people will never accept subjugation, said the Indian foreign minister. Ethan relayed his advice to find diplomatic solutions. On the celestial diplomatic station, Ethan stared up at the alien warship, praying his diplomacy would pay off. Whatever happened, Earth would not go down without teaching these newcomers that humanity was not so easy to conquer. Thrax saw humanity's final desperate plea as a threat that neither safety nor pride could ignore. Now there was nothing to do but wait. On the Zarnak's command ship, Thrax snarled as the human's message was translated. His blue eyes flashed red with rage. Insolent primitives, Vader threatened the mighty Zarnak's dominion. He stabbed a claw at his sub-commander, launched the entire assault fleet at once. I want those upstart human colonies wiped from the stars. The sub-commander scrambled to obey, sending the order to the hundreds of ships waiting on standby. Crew rushed to battle stations as engines roared to life. Within minutes, the full force of the Zarnak's military swung into a sharp intercept course, weapons priming for the slaughter to come. Within the celestial diplomatic station, alarms blared as long-range sensors detected the armada changing course. "They're heading straight for the moon bases at maximum speed," cried Captain Reyes, studying the readouts in horror. Ambassador Ethan prepared himself and delivered a command to cloak only one dreadnought and show Earth in the galaxy who we truly are. Through the viewport, he peered into the black and saw a faint flare of light growing behind Earth's shadow. On the bridge of the Ezen Solaris, Commander Takara watched the enemy fleet emerge on her sensors. Over 500 enemy contacts closing at dangerous velocity. "All hands to battle stations," she ordered calmly into the com. Around her, the crew leapt into well-practiced motions as blast doors sealed and armor plating hummed into place. Charge main kinetic barriers and plasma lances. Standby rocket pods for intercept maneuvers. Takara felt the deck plates vibrate as the massive engines thundered to life, pulling the Solaris from its geosynchronous orbit in a burst of golden light. Through the forward windows, the crew watched Earth fall away at dizzying speed. As the automated piloting system slammed the nose up and spun the dreadnought to align with its intercept vector. By the time the first Zarnak's ships broke lunar orbit, the Solaris would be waiting. On the lead Zarnak's cruiser, Thrax glared at the sensor display, showing the lone human warship accelerating to engage his fleet alone. "Impossible," he spat. "No single vessel could stand against hundreds. All ships," he bellowed, "concentrate fire and crush that eyesore." Around him, crew scrambled to comply, locking targeting solutions across the squadrons. But as the first energy beams and plasma lances lanced out, they merely flickered off invisible shields far stronger than their own. As the first energy beams and plasma lances streaked towards the Solaris, Commander Takara watched their vivid colors dim and disperse across the ship's energy barriers. "Damage report," she asked curtly. "Shields holding at 99, responded the sensors officer. While an unprecedented barrage for any other vessel, the Solaris's armor could withstand a nation's worth of firepower for hours. "Return fire, target lead enemy cruisers," ordered Takara. Before the words left her mouth, flickers of light erupted from the Solaris's forward batteries. Dual heavy plasma lances, intense as a sun's core, lashed out like spears. They sheared through the initial Zarnak ships with brutal efficiency, superstructures evaporating within the star-hot beams. A spread of precision antimatter warheads followed, tiny singularities of annihilation blossoming into explosions that obliterated entire capital ships. Not a single shot missed its mark, targeting computers guided by an intelligence far superior to any the aliens possessed. Behind the initial devastation, dozens more Zarnak's craft spun out of control, dead in space. A flicker of doubt entered Thrax's mind at the devastation wrought by this single opponent, but he steeled his resolve, determined to outlast the human war machine through sheer numbers. All ships, jump to flanking positions, surround and pummel the eyesore from all sides. Obedient to their instincts, the Zarnaxian pilots executed precision micro-jumps that scattered their fleet in an immersive cloud. Yet for all their coordination, the Solaris's defenses and countermeasures were vastly more advanced. As waves of plasma and coherent beams lashed at it from every angle, point defense cannons methodically picked off attackers. Not a single shot touched its heavily ablative armor plates. Inside the hull, the crew calmly went about their duties, the ship responding to their desires before they were even voiced. An autonomous parasite weapon was deployed in obsidian spheres that swallowed incoming fire like a singularity. When satiated, it vomited the torn energies of 100 ships back at their original vectors. Squadrons disintegrated under their own firepower. Thrax howled at the massacre, unfolding, his vaunted fleet being picked apart ship by ship. Few commanders in history had witnessed the obliteration of an armada with their own eyes. Despite everything, Thrax refused to back down until the human war machine was itself destroyed. He